Are we sure Mike didn't do a patch job for offensive coordinator to save his job? What offensive coordinator doesn't want 5-star receivers and quarterbacks?
They all do, to answer the question. I hope I wasn't unclear with that. It's just the question was like, how do they retain wide receivers, or how do they attract a bunch of big-time wide receivers when they don't use wide receivers don't have big numbers traditionally in this offense? Well, that's why it's hard to get more than one. You could certainly get one or two and say, we're going to open it up. You're going to be our guy, but you're not going to have a lot of depth of great quality wide receiver play, because why would they be here to be backups and never get on the field? Norvell runs his starters. Malzahn runs his starters, it would seem, into the ground. He finds the running back he likes and the two wide receivers he likes and gets them the ball all the time, which is cool to me. I'm all about that, but it doesn't provide a lot of depth of great quality wide receivers, which might be hard to do anyway. Also, absolutely, I don't know if patch is what the word I'd use, but he is absolutely trying to save his job.
Yes.
Absolutely. And the point is, Malzahn doesn't need a 5-star quarterback. It doesn't mean he doesn't want one or couldn't use one or would turn one away. It's just, he's Cam Newton he won a national championship with. All these other guys were 3 or 4-star guys that he still won games with and put up a ton of yards and points.
Do we see Mike try to evolve to a pass game like he thought he had this year?
I thought it was interesting when he said that when they're good offensively, when his offense is good and they are able to run downhill, they're always one of the leaders in the country in yards per completion. Meaning, yeah, they're not going to be 31 out of 36 for 392 or 288. They're not going to throw a bunch of 5-yard. By all means, get rid of the wide receiver screen forever, Gus, unless you can get a receivers coach that coaches it up. But when they run the ball well, it is going to open up those home run plays down the field. Think, for instance, the Miami game 2 years ago. 2022. Pokey has a 70-yard touchdown. I think Johnny had a big catch. Benson had a big catch on a screen. Like, when you can run the ball like that, it opens up everything, and that's the plan. I don't think with Malzahn here, especially the first year, especially if it's Castellanos, is going to be a guy that's throwing it 35 or 40 times a game. That is not what they want to do.
I mean, his offense was adapted, was like really formulated and made popular and famous from what he did in high school.
Yeah.
Because he wanted to make it simple. Like it was, and he talked about they're going to play fast. I mean, that's something that we really haven't talked about. Ira and I didn't talk about it. I don't know if you wrote about it, but I mean, Gus does go with more tempo than Mike has really shown us here.
In fact, that's what he said, Aslan. He said the number one thing is we're going to play fast. That's the number one thing. It wasn't even we're going to run the ball. It's we're going to play fast, which go for it, man, because Norvell does not play fast. So I think he was asked about the similarities in the two offenses, and they're both basically the same offense or from the same tree. But it seems like to him, number one, it's going to be more of a downhill scheme, I guess, and not so much kind of the side-to-side running attack that they've had or have used at times. But also they are going to go fast, which is something I think this program and this offense can really, really use.
Yeah, but again, I mean, his offense, for better or worse, is a very simplistic kind of thing. And it's predicated on them being able to establish the run game with a physical offensive line, which Herb Hand's going to help with. And you think there's guys from UCF that are in the portal that they probably will be in the mix with. And yeah, man, they can run the ball downhill. You have to start putting resources in the box to stop that. And then that's when your quarterback is going to get a guy that maybe has 1 or 2 steps on somebody, throw it downfield and let your playmaker make a play.
Yeah.
I hate to distill it down to being that simple, but it's all predicated on moving fast and there's letting the quarterback operate properly. And I think like Castellanos will know when to keep. I mean, we keep talking about it every year, and God love him. This is not a complaint at all about Jordan Travis. Miss him, love him. Can't wait to see him get back to full health and star in the NFL. But man, this is like year 3 now. Are we going on year 3 of waiting for the quarterback to keep it?
Right.
Or, to do some magic on the mesh. Like that's what these guys do in Gus's offense. So again, at the same time, you can get where everybody's mad and you feel that your head coach is hitching his wagon to a guy that left his team prematurely and is 5'9".
Or more importantly, Aslan, how about the fact that he got benched? Like, even if you don't care that he quit after he got benched or left the team after he got benched, however you want to phrase it, he did get benched. And that is a valid concern. It's like, wait, Florida State spending all this money on Gus Malzahn, spending all this money to reshuffle this staff and try to win games. And they're going to take what is true, at least for the last 2 games, would have been Boston College's backup. So that I get as a concern. You just have to hope that, look, Nick Marshall got kicked off Georgia's team. Now, he was a DB, I think, at the time.
Yep.
But he got kicked off Georgia's team and ended up, 13 seconds away from being a national championship winning quarterback.
The 6'5" wide receiver away from winning the national title, probably.
Right, and he was small. So the point being, not that Castellanos is Nick Marshall. Malzahn can win with these types of quarterbacks. He's not ideal. He's not 6'3". He's not going to play in the league. But, man, he could hopefully, by God, make it happen, win some games for this football program. If he's here. If he's not here, screw that quitter. Who wants him? Am I right, Aslan? Yeah, am I right? Just kidding, Thomas.
Yeah. No, it's just wild that when we're wrapping up here that for like 3 or 4 days, all these hires as they started like trickling in, you felt really good. And then the Castellanos thing, I don't know if it's, because we're dealing with people that are very online.
Yeah.
But man, in terms of like the Florida State fan base, whatever that portion of it that's very highly motivated to be on the internet a lot and share their opinions and talk with other fans, man, it is not a popular thing. So part of me feels bad that so many people are so down on this and feel like this is some sort of fatal error. I don't think it is, but like, I get it. Like, it's been a really rough season. You had 3 or 4 good days of really good news. The Tony White hire, it's hard to imagine it's not going to work out. And then
Herb Hand, you could have asked for a better resume for an offensive line coach than Herb Hand. Like, you know what I mean? Or, if you just looked at the OC stuff, Malzahn. So I do like it. I like that. But you're right. When it's a quarterback now, that's a whole different ball game. And yes, it's not something that people are very fired up with. But having lived through the Jordan Travis saga and how so many fans were convinced he couldn't play and were convinced that he was holding the offense back, especially I remember the 2021 Clemson game and how everybody thought he sucks, he's never going to win anything. Yeah, man. Opinions can change. I'm not saying Castellanos is Jordan Travis, but nobody knew Jordan Travis was Jordan Travis till he turned into Jordan Travis. So opinions can change. Let's see what he can do in this offense. It might be really, really good. And the QB play can't be worse. Literally couldn't be worse than it was this past year.